Hey Megan, you remember the very first episode we did of Mark Fisher Outdoors? We were sitting right here.
Yep, exact same spots.
And we questioned, what do we call this? A podcast or whatever? And I'm still like that. I'm a month and a half into this. I still don't. When it's Throwback Thursday, what does that mean in the old interweb world?
It means we revisit something that we've already done, or
Well, that's what I'm going to do. I don't think I'm right on line with the internet world. I'm doing a Throwback Thursday, but what I'm doing is I'm revisiting some techniques or some things that I learned years ago that I think I kind of look at it like, I know that, doesn't everybody? But then I came across somebody just this week and I looked at what they were doing and I was like, how did they not know to do that? So we're going to talk about that today.
So this is Mark Fisher's definition of a Throwback Thursday, which you can do because it's your channel.
Okay, we'll see. We'll give it a go, see what happens.
Yep.
Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I am Mark Fisher.
And I'm Megan Fuller.
And it is my version of Throwback Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So, Megan, what was going on is, like I said, this is something I've known about for years, a decade or more.
Okay.
And I thought everybody knew it, but we're talking about spinning reels. And I think I've mentioned this even in some other videos. I always throw braided line. Always. When I say always, that 95% of the time, I'm always throwing braided line on my spinning reels. And 95% of the time, that braided line is this high-vis yellow Power Pro that I'm throwing as my braided line. Now, obviously, I take that braided line, I attach it to my fluorocarbon.
With a uni knot.
With a uni knot, very good, nice job. And so then I have a fluorocarbon leader, which is usually approximately the length of my rod inside the rod and then the length of my rod outside the rod. So I'm usually throwing maybe about somewhere between 12 and 20 feet, depending on the size of the rod, of fluoro. Gives me plenty of distance where the fish are not seeing that high-vis line, but I still have the strength of the Power Pro, and then I've got the invisibility of the fluorocarbon.
Oh,
okay. So where my bait is, the fish can't see this bright line.
Right.
And it's invisible, and it's got the strength of fluorocarbon, and it sinks, and all of the things that I want near my bait. But what I have on the surface of the water is this high-vis braided line, because it's so important to me when I'm working a bait to be able to see that line on the surface of the water. I can't tell you the number of bites or the number of times I've had a fish on that I haven't felt them, but I've seen that line all of a sudden start to go into the water or start to move off to the side. You set the hook and there's the fish. You don't know it except for the fact that the line is telling you that that fish is there.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And I've talked with guys who say, yeah, I use braid, but I use whatever's on sale. Well, if you're not using that high-vis yellow, you still got the braided line, but you're not using the high-vis, and you can't see it. It doesn't do you any good. So I definitely kind of believe in using Power Pro high-vis braided line. I usually go somewhere around 20-pound test on that. I know guys who will go 30, 40, 60. When you're up to 20-pound test on braided line, I don't think it really matters. I've never broken off braided line at 20 pound. So when that happens, I'll go up to 30. But
so for the throwback piece, Is it that you don't see that guys combine the two, or that they don't?
No, this is just the whole idea of putting braided line and using high vis
Right.
braided line.
So that you can see it, but when you get to this point, the fish can't. So you're combining the two best things.
Absolutely. But again, I still see guys throwing completely fluorocarbon on their spinning reels. All fluoro, the whole way. You can't see fluoro.
Right.
I see guys throwing braided line. Heaven forbid, sometimes I see guys throwing braided line all the way to their bait. Here's my thought on that. I can see throwing braided line, you're in tough stuff, you want to winch that fish out, but if you're going to be doing that to where you're throwing braided line all the way to your bait, and then maybe you're marking that braided line with a black marker or something to kind of hide it a little bit, at that point, shouldn't you be throwing a bait caster instead of a flimsy little spinning reel?
Well, duh. Even I know that.
So I wouldn't go all braid. I wouldn't go all fluoro.
Right.
And if I'm gonna do the braid to fluoro, there's absolutely no reason not to go with the high vis braid like Power Pro. I really like the braid that Power Pro puts out. Berkeley has a brand. Some of the other brands have kind of a little stiffness to it that I don't like. I really like the suppleness that the Power Pro has. And I tell you, it's hard to do this video because between Power Poles, which are one of my sponsors,
Right.
and Power Pro, which is the line we're talking about, it's hard for my tongue to say that the right way, but I think I've gotten it most of the time, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Right.
The point of Throwback Thursday today is, if you're throwing a spinning rod, I would say that you probably should be throwing high vis braided line, about 20-pound braided line, using a double uni knot to put your fluorocarbon leader, which should be approximately 14 feet in length, 14 to 20 feet in length, and have that go to your bait. That is the way that I would suggest most of your setups for your spinning rod should be. If you like this tip, or you like the idea of Throwback Thursdays, give us a comment, let us know. Maybe you could give us some ideas for Throwback Thursdays, and maybe next Thursday we'll do the same kind of thing. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, guys. If you haven't, shame on you, man. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And hit the like button, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Okay.
Take
Have
care.
a good night.